Episode 7. A New Bond of the Three. Scene 1. The Beauty of Cracks.
The community scattered on its own, not by command or schedule, but by quiet agreement. Someone began chopping roots for supper, someone else gathered water. The day loosened its grip and became evening. The three remained. They sat on the steps of the new home, surrounded by what Arkhon had left behind: bent metal, cracked instruments, fragments of systems once meant to govern everything. Their clothes were stained with dust and ash, their heroic cloaks were wrinkled, pulled loose at the seams, no longer performing any function at all. Thinksy stared at the glass balcony above them. A long fracture ran through it now, branching like frost across a window. "I thought," Thinksy said softly, "that if I stopped smiling, everything would collapse." The words were not an accusation, just a fact, finally spoken aloud. Teddy turned Arkhon's control stylus in his fingers. The object looked smaller now, lighter, stripped of its authority. After a moment, Teddy snapped it cleanly in two. The sound, sharp and final, echoed once and then was gone. "I thought," Teddy said, "that if I didn't control everything, everything would collapse." Lucy poured tea, not for the group, for herself. Steam rose, slow and unhurried. "And I thought," she said, settling the cup in her hands, "that if I rested, I was being selfish." Silence followed, not an empty one, but a comfortable pause, filled with the sound of leaves shifting and distant birds settling for the night. They understood then, without ceremony, without debate, that Arkhon had not planted these fears inside them. He had only learned how to use them. The fears were older than him, relics from the long war they had survived and never truly laid down. No one apologized. There was no guilt left that required it. Teddy leaned his shoulder gently against Lucy's. Thinksy lowered her head onto Teddy's knee. The shape they made together was uneven and still, like pieces that did not quite match but held anyway. They were cracked, and like a vessel repaired with gold, the lines of repair did not diminish them. They made the whole stronger, more precious for having been broken and mended in the open air. The forest breathed around them, and for the first time in a long while, so did they.
Scene 2. No More Automatic.
Soft footsteps approached the steps. Puss in Boots stopped at their foot, hat held respectfully in his paws. His boots were scuffed, his feather drooped, and yet his posture still carried the reflex of spectacle, as if the world itself expected a finale from him. "Well then," he said, clearing his throat with theatrical hope, "heroes, we toppled the tyrant Arkhon and released the queen. This is usually the part where there's a victory dance. Yes, fireworks, a grand enchantment, possibly a cake?" The three exchanged a look. It was not conspiratorial, just tired. Teddy shook his head. "No." Thinksy added, gently, "Not today." Lucy smiled, small and honest. "Today, we just are?" The words landed without force, but they changed the air all the same. They were not refusing gratitude, they were refusing the role. For the first time, they did not step forward to entertain, to heal on command, or to absorb the expectations of a waiting crowd, the unspoken rule that they existed to perform relief for others, quietly broke apart. Puss in Boots blinked, once, then twice. For a moment, he seemed unsure which story he was in, then he laughed, a real laugh, free of flourish. He placed his hat back on his head, turned sideways, and sat down on the lower step. "That works for me," he said, stretching his legs. "I was feeling lazy anyway." The hierarchy dissolved without ceremony. The great deed had been done, and now, they were simply citizens again. No higher, no lower, resting among the rest. The evening deepened, no applause followed, and nothing was missing.
Scene 3. The Quiet Vow.
Evening settled gently over the new home, the light thinned, turning from gold to blue, and the forest breathed more slowly, as if the day itself were willing to rest. The three rose to go inside. At the doorway, they stopped, not because of danger, but because something old had ended, and something new deserved a moment of care. Once, they had sworn to protect the Dreamwilds at all costs. That vow had been loud, heroic, and heavy. This one was quieter. Teddy spoke first, his voice low. "If I start building walls again," Lucy answered without hesitation, warmth steady in her tone, "I'll knock on the door until you open it." Thinksy tilted her head, eyes reflecting the dimming sky. "And if I start floating too high?" Teddy smiled, "Just enough, I'll pull you back down to the ground." They did not speak of eternity. They did not promise to never part, or to always be strong, together. Simply, they said, "See you at breakfast." It was enough. They stepped inside and left the door ajar. Not wide open, not shut, a boundary, yes, but a living one. The door closed softly behind them. There was no click of a lock. Safety no longer came from bolts or barriers. It came from knowing who would knock, and who would answer.